Why go through all those hoops? Okay, I gotta clear this. Come on, through the border. There we go. Yeah, so Spell Steal adds into our additive DIBS category, whatever you want to call it. We don't have a lot of that, so we have more elementals, so it makes more sense to run the dynamic that adds into your additive category because it'll be worth more. Hydra is a multiplier. It doesn't, the skill damage from Hydra that you put on your gear is actually multiplied in. Therefore, you have basically nothing in your additive category. This is why Spell Steal is worth just a little bit more. And the cool thing about this build is you can kind of reposition your Hydras at will. It puts more of a focus on positioning of your Hydras rather than I need to like get these certain buffs available, right? Three minutes, 5 seconds. How about that? How about that? Here's the skills. Current gear. Non-ancient source. Primal weapon. Kind of balance each other out, I would think. But the primal weapon does not have damage percent. It's int right now, so there you go. There you go. So here we are talking about the Typhon's Veil Frost Hydra Greater Rift Speed build. It's going to be a pretty nice one in season. This particular build I've tailored to be a little bit more easy to operate. Surprisingly, this version performs fairly well when you compare it to other versions. So I tried an Aetherwalker variation with the Winter's Flurry with Unity. I also tried the very complicated version using the Deathwish. That was like, ugh, so terrible to use. And it tends to, like, the more multipliers you tack on, the harder it is to keep all of them up, just because you're losing toughness, you're losing your scorch multiplier more often, you tend to juggle multipliers more often. That's why I kind of settled on this variation, where your multipliers are just very consistent, very even, and what you see is what you get, right? Normally, if you're looking for like highest multipliers, you'd be including the Winter Flurry, which requires you place Blizzard on the skill bar and cast Blizzard to debuff. And then there's also the Arcane Dynamo, which is still fairly easy to activate. You just cast your signature and then plop your Hydra down for a 60% increased damage. But overall, I kind of felt like Audacity was just easier to manage, plus it gave quite a big increase anyway. So that's what we're running here, is just an easier sort of setup. Also, the Arcane Dynamo kind of clashes with running the Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction has to be here, of course, because of the Orb of Infinite Depth. That's right, I'm not running Deathwish here. We're not running anything super complicated. It's going to be an easygoing build, lots of shielding to keep up your squirts, lots of toughness, of course, with the Orb of Infinite Depth going into here. The Captain Crimson's allows like increased cooldown here, so we're going to have fairly high cooldown. You get a decent multiplier from the Captain Crimson's, and the inclusion of Orb of Infinite Depth means you can drop Unity for Convention of Elements. So that's the big gain here, is we get COE, and we get the multiplier there on top of everything else that I just mentioned. Kind of makes up for the fact that we're not using the Winter Flurry. We're not getting that extra 30% that we might have from the Arcane Dynamo, right? But this build still is fairly nice. It allows you to fit in a Black Hole Spell Steal that's on a very quick cooldown, meaning the uptime on this one as well is fairly high. Stack counts will be, on average, fairly nice, which is great. And overall, it just feels like a really good build with a lot of CC. The toughness is very high with the combination with the Carini as well. We're running the Wormhole here on teleport for mobility. Quite nice in combination with our high cooldown reduction to get like a standard sort of teleport cooldown is very nice to get us a little bit quicker through the rift. It's not going to be as quick as Aetherwalker, but it's going to be fairly nice. Now, something you can do here, we're in the cube, the 4th slot, we're just fitting in both our Tasker and Theo for a fairly quick attacking Hydra, 30 frames per attack, and we're also including the Magistrate bonus multiplier. Something you can do if you want a little bit more movement speed, but preserving the same frames per attack interval, you can opt for the Echoing Fury. Echoing Fury going to be quite a nice bonus here for just getting through the rift quicker. The issue I found with this bonus is it did allow you to traverse the map quicker, but when you got to the Rift Guardian especially, there were some times where it didn't line up with your Convention of Elements immediately, and you weren't able to kill the boss quite outright as fast as you would if you just had the Tasker and Theo cubed, right? So anyways, it's an option, and I hope you enjoy this build. Yes, indeed. Quick note here, we're including a lot of life percent to increase our shielding defensively, cooldown on the source, attack speed, cooldown wherever possible, etc., etc. Hydra damage, as mentioned before in the other Hydra build, is going to be multiplicative, so very important to get those affixes in. And yeah, it's just a very well-rounded build, feels very comfortable to play. It's one I probably will seek out in season. So that's why that. Even still, I think it does decent. Yeah. This build is not using Unity, we're using Convention of Elements. Whoops, wrong way. So managing your Hydras is a lot more free and easy with this build, but the movement, the mobility is a little bit lower. I kind of like it, the black hole too. I'm still dropping skirts, that's really bad. Thought I had enough toughness. Did I forget to switch something? Maybe I'm missing something. So you have pretty high uptime on your black hole too, which is kind of nice. And I went for spell steal, not the cauldron, because spell steal is dynamic, whereas absolute zero is not. And even though absolute zero has a longer duration, the cooldown is low enough that you can run the dynamic version. Plus you already have like, I don't know, 40% cold damage, so